Good morning, Intenders.
Good morning.
Welcome and welcome back to Morning Intentions. Today is Monday, April 13th, and we're continuing on with our journey with codependency and our book study of Too Much by Terry Cole. And this month, so far, we don't know how long this is going to go on, but we got more to say, so it's going to continue. And this month, we're specifically focusing on if you think you're a high-functioning codependent, what do you do? Are you just stuck and that's the way your life is forever? Of course not. Even though it can feel that way, we're looking at tools and techniques that you can use to shift that way of showing up in the world. The thing, Annette, I wanted to bring up just very briefly today before we get started on our week is what can happen once we recognize there is a different way here. There's something I can do differently. And then we start doing something differently. We can mourn all the years we didn't have the tools in our toolbox. You and I both have said this about different things in our life where we can be excited about something. And then we could also have, in addition to celebration, some mourning of, think of all the years I was doing the wrong thing. For me, I'll give you all an example. I'm not so holy. I don't have any problems. Of course, I got problems. Here's one. I've been working on my sleep lately. You all know me. You've probably heard me say, well, I'll just stay up a little later to do the things I want to do. I'm finding that I can't do that. It's actually not good for me. I need to reprioritize my life and focus on sleep. I'm sleeping more. I'm feeling better than I ever have. And then there's a part of me that says, you've been doing this for however many years, 20 plus years, you've been sacrificing sleep or been too anxious to sleep or too sad to sleep. Poor Ada. You can feel that way. Why did I do this for so long? Why didn't I know there was a better way to do things? Hold both of those, please. It's okay to mourn. And then also, let's not get so mournful that we don't push forward. And this gets to the heart of why we have our definition of compassion. And we bring it up constantly. We're all doing the best we can with the tools, awareness, and understanding that we have in that moment. So for me, when I wasn't sleeping as well or didn't prioritize it, that was the best I could do. And how do I know that? Because that's what I did. If I knew better, I would have done better. I didn't know better, so I didn't do better. Now I know better, so I can do better. And I am doing better, and so I feel better. A lot of betters in that sentence.
Sounds like you're really doing better, Ada.
I sure am. And we all get the chance to do better, and we need to love ourselves enough to do better and also more in the times where we didn't have the tools. It's not a crime. It's not, you're so bad you didn't have the tools. It's, I didn't have the tools then. I'm so glad I do now. I can have gratitude. I can have thankfulness. But then also, I wish I had these tools sooner. So we're actually going to go over a few tools today and this week. Annette, would you like to get us started?
I would. We're going to talk about mindfulness tools. Terry Cole talks just a little bit about mindfulness, and then she moves on to boundaries. We're going to stay with mindfulness for a little while. Mindfulness is something that we've probably all heard the phrase. Maybe we do have some mindfulness practices, but we want to keep that front and center. That's a tool in our toolbox that we want to use daily. So that's why we want to spend a little bit more time on it than Terry Cole did in her book.
One thing I want to say, I'm going to interrupt you already before we get into specific techniques and tools. I want to give us a little word about mindfulness. I heard that word for years, and I didn't know what people were talking about. Oh, be mindful. Oh, you need to practice mindfulness. Just be mindful. It's one of those things that can be a buzzword, and you could just say, well, I don't know what that is, and pass it by. We're not passing it by.
You took a class in this.
I did take a class in this, yes, and that was very helpful. So the thing about mindfulness is it is counteracting all the ways in life we can act mindlessly. Or put another way, we act on autopilot. We're not fully thinking, we just do something. So if you have a high functioning codependent way of showing up in the world, there's probably a lot of times where there's this urge that you had in your body and your mind, and you just did something to help release that trauma feeling inside of your body. And you didn't think it through. You didn't check in. Well, is this really the best thing for me and for them? You just did what you thought you needed to do. Now, that autopilot way of going through life can get us in trouble, as I'm sure you all know. So we want to shift all of that and do it a different way. You want to have a different life, you need to do things differently. And part of doing things differently is being mindful or being present to how we feel and to what we're doing. Because people say things, they do things, and if it's hurtful, they can say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't thinking." That might be true. And it can get to a point where that's a reason, not an excuse. We can't just say, "Oh, I wasn't thinking." We need to turn it on its head and say, every word that comes out of my mouth, I want to be thinking about. I want to think about its tone and how it could come across to someone. Every action that I take, even if it's just about myself and I'm the only one who would know I did it, how does that feel? What does that do? What does that communicate about ourselves to ourselves? We want to show up with our full mind on what we're doing each and every day to the best of our abilities.
We want to be intentional. That's why we called our podcast Morning Intentions, because we want everyone, including the two of us, to start our days being intentional. And that was the reason that we chose the name of our podcast, even, is because that intentionality will help us when we are having the habit of being more compulsive and being more on autopilot. As we end today, I wanted to read 2 paragraphs from Terry Cole's book on page 155 to get us started for this week. It's called Learning to Tune In. According to Jon Kabat-Zinn, the founder of mindfulness-based stress reduction training, mindfulness is awareness that arises through paying attention on purpose in the present moment, non-judgmentally, in the service of self-understanding and wisdom. Mindfulness practices like meditation, self-reflective journaling, body scans, breathing exercises, and nature walks are powerful tools to redirect our anxious leaning into the future. But that's not because these practices completely empty the mind of its future-oriented thoughts. Rather, we see, quote unquote, and hear at last what our thoughts actually are. By acknowledging what's constantly racing through our minds, influencing our feelings, actions, and reactions, and consciously choosing to let them pass without engaging with them, we can sidestep their influence. We see that we have a choice. Really speaking to what you were just sharing, Ada. And this was the part that I wanted us to listen closely to. Mindfulness is a process of learning to be truly present. Mindfulness is a process of learning to be truly present. That means allowing life to unfold more naturally with less need to steer it to avoid something or create something. Less management of people and outcomes creates more space to fully be. So remember, the trauma response of a high-functioning codependent is to make sure that the outcomes are okay. We don't have a lot of conflict. People are getting along. People are happy. All is well. That's why we can be, quote unquote, manipulative, but it's not sinister manipulative. It's actually, we want everybody to be doing well. So it's less management of people and outcomes creates more space to fully be. Because if we're all involved with managing outcomes, we can't truly be. Our ability to regularly be here now will transform our experience from a light, half-present version of life to its richest, most fulfilling expression.
Keeping all of this in mind, our intention for today is a curiosity question. Am I ready to see and hear what my thoughts actually are? Am I ready to see and hear what my thoughts actually are? Thank you so much for joining us today. Our day is better because you are part of our day. See you tomorrow.
See you then.